hold that flat on the cutting board, and now since I have it laid out flat, I can concentrate on taking nice thin strips of the leek. And so now we have kind of maybe a leek that we could use and fry it, make a little fried leek crisp, a number of different preparations. The key thing that you want to think about with the leek is it's dirty. That's your main focus with that, is that it's dirty, and we have to be conscientious of that when we're using it. And we'll go from there. Let's see here. What else do we have? Let's start carrying over. Well, let's do some celery work first, and then we'll carry over to what you guys are going to end up cutting today. All right, so this is a whole head of celery. It doesn't have the core in it like you see sometimes the celery hearts you can buy that don't have the leaves on it. The leaves could certainly be used. There's a herbal form of celery, sometimes even like Chinese celery, which is mostly used for the leaves. But this could be used in a salad. Some people say it's bitter. I always say put it on your tongue. If you can hold it on your tongue, you can use it. Depending on what time of year it is, sometimes they might be bitter, sometimes they won't. Also, the core here tends to be dirty just because, again, this grows in soil, and sometimes as it's grown, especially that blanched thing, if you look at a real blonde colored celery, it's been covered with dirt a lot of times. This core can be quite bitter, but this could be used as a part of a stock provided that it's clean. So if we were going to use this for a stock, you might cut it up and wash it, and then the way you could save that and not necessarily throw it away immediately. For our celery that's here in the stalk pieces, very dirty as well. So if we were looking to do the old cliche ants on a log kind of thing, fill it with peanut butter and raisins, maybe as a good snack, you want to make sure that's really clean, maybe even wipe it out. If we're going to use this for gumbo where we just want to dice it up, maybe dice it up and wash it afterwards, just like we're talking about with the leeks. But in cutting the celery, you could cut the strips or these ribs into strips. And then if we were cutting this for celery sticks, maybe we're making buffalo wings. What am I missing here in this picture? Gloves. You guys, we already talked about that earlier, so certainly would want to work sanitary in this case, but this is something that we could use for a cooked form. Maybe we have it cut into strips. We can rock on the tip of the knife. And this could go towards salad, maybe shrimp salad with some celery in it. Certainly gloves there as well. Maybe we're using it in clam chowder, crab cakes, any number of different things. All right, let's head over to the cutting board here. And what we're going to talk about are some of the preparations we're going to do today. You can see this cutting board has plastic wrap on it, and that's a part of the basic mise en place for the station because we're going to be peeling a bunch of vegetables. And we're going to be using the paring knife for a couple things, but I'm not going to be cutting on the plastic wrap when I do that. We have carrots. What are these? Parsnips, so it kind of looks like a white carrot. Parsnips can be a little bit woodier at times, and sometimes they have like a big old crack in it, almost like the Grand Canyon. You got to trim all that out, but parsnips are another root vegetable. We have some tomatoes that we're going to end up cutting today, potatoes and onions. With this preparation, we're going to use our paring knife for part of it, and we're going to use our peeler for part of it. So the goal here is to get everything peeled and cut that we can with the plastic wrap here, and then taking it up from there. So with this part of it, what we're going to do is you're going to use your paring knife to cut the top and the bottom out of the onion and out of the tomato. But the key part of it here is your thumb's your depth gauge. Once your paring knife is in the onion or the tomato, the only thing that's really moving is this wrist action right here. So this is where students get confused, but I certainly want you guys to be careful. And what this comes from is a lot of times in the restaurant industry, you might have a little bit of downtime. It's not uncommon for maybe a 50-pound sack of onions to appear, and you need to peel a bunch of onions while you're waiting for your first tables to come in. So here just stick your paring knife in using your thumb as your depth gauge. It's at an angle and just twisting the onion, and it takes out kind of like a little cone of that bottom end. Same thing on the top. And then keeping the paring knife in your hand, kind of cutting down the side and peeling the side. And in your basic mise en place, and I know you guys are just getting in the kitchen with me, one of the things that you want to structure yourself in doing is trying to organize it where when you come to do a task, you're not putting your knife down, not until you're really ready to. So I mean, you think about with us peeling and cutting carrots. You peel a carrot, then you cut it, you peel another carrot, then you cut it. It's a lot of wasted effort putting one thing down and starting another process as opposed to peeling them all, coming back, picking up your knife, and cutting them all. So that's one peeled onion. Same thing, thumb is your depth gauge. Once your thumb's on here, it's not moving. You know, so use that as your depth gauge. Just simply doing the little opening the door, twisting the door handle motion. All right, our tomatoes, now we're going to concasse these tomatoes, and a part of that is we want to take the skin off the outside, and we're going to blanch them in boiling water for a second to get the skin to loosen, and then we're going to take the seeds out. But we want to take the top out, and we want to score the bottom in. So same kind of thing. Use your paring knife, same depth gauge, same motion. And these might be a little bit hard to peel. They look like they're kind of a not ripe hothouse tomato. The riper the tomato, especially this time of year we're in summer, takes a lot less time to blanch them. But just cutting an X in the bottom, and we're just trying to get through the skin, so that way when this goes in the hot water can start to loosen that, and when we take it up out of the hot water, we'll be able to peel it off. But that's our next step. So we're done with the paring knife. So I'll put that down, and I'll move to the peeler. So how do you use a peeler? All right, they're designed to be left and right-handed. A lot of times you see people just peel, pick it up, and peel. One of the things we're trying to work on is efficiency here. Your peeler can be used in both directions. That's right. So you don't have to take it off of the carrot in this case. Use it both directions so that way there's not a wasted stroke. One of the things I like to tell students is to not cut the ends off until after you've peeled it. The ends, whether it's a little bit of the top end here or the thin part on the bottom, offer a great handle, but if you cut them off before you peel, a lot of times you waste too much. An inch of this cut off over a 50-pound sack of carrots is a couple portions that you could have served somebody. So we're trying to think about that. So again, that back and forth motion. And since you're taking advantage of that stroke in both directions, you could be a whole lot more productive and just not go as fast. We'll peel a parsnip, same thing, and then we'll peel some potatoes. And I think my next step is to turn you guys loose to get you caught up with the vegetables being peeled, and that way we can start to look at the cuts a little bit more. But let's get this peeled. And we're going to peel the potatoes next. So that's what the water is here for. Anytime you're dealing with a potato, your number one concern initially is how do I prevent it from turning color? We refer to that as oxidation. It's being exposed to oxygen. It's going to cause it to turn color. So if I'm peeling the potatoes, I'm going to dice them up later on to make clam chowder. I'm going to cut them up and roast them. Going to shred them up for potato pancakes. Your concern in all that time is preventing them from discoloring. And that can be done with water. In the case of a shredded potato, you might actually put it into an egg batter, and you prevent the oxygen from getting to it there. But the potato is sometimes harder to go up and down with, but if I put it right on the tip where I could put a lot of pressure holding it in place, that means I could put a lot of pressure in that one stroke and get a real nice long stroke in peeling it. And you can't cut yourself with a peeler. Since my fingers are at the top and they're not at the bottom, it means I could put a lot of pressure there. But then just come around the edges. And then what's the tip of your peeler used for? To gouge. So if there's an eye in here or a bad spot we need to get out, you would just use the tip of your peeler for that. Before we go back to our vegetable cuts, we're going to cover two little things here. And really, these are just, again, back to that basic technique. So anybody know what this herb is? Sage. This is fresh sage. And one of the cuts that we'll learn about next week is called chiffonade. And chiffonade is referring to something being shredded. And this is something they use for maybe some leafy herbs or even some leafy lettuce, that type of thing. But what you do is you stack it up, give it just a little quick roll, and then this is much smaller, but you're still concentrating on holding everything correctly, your knife, your hand, and then you're just going to concentrate on taking real nice thin cuts, and you're guiding on your knuckles. And this same technique would be used if we were trying to slice some green onions or chives very thin. You're just guiding on your knuckles, making sure you're slicing really, really thin.
You chiffonade a lot with basil too, right?
Yep. And That's a great comment, Tori. In fact, whenever you're chiffonading basil, basil bruises very easily. And so, sage, we could probably do this maybe an hour ahead of our preparation and it still look pretty good. Basil, within 15 minutes of you cutting it, it's going to be brown. So you could pick it, stack it up, set it aside. If you're going to add a chiffonade of basil to a sauce as a garnish or anything else, maybe do that right at the last minute. So that way there's not going to be a problem with it really discoloring.